Pretty funny when you think about the breakfast cereal we consumed as kids, because there really wasn't much nutrition in them. They were just kind of variations of sugar. But we didn't think too much of it back then, because that's the way it was for every family and just the way it was at the time. But thanks to Magic Spoon, it doesn't have to be like that anymore, because in Magic Spoon cereals, check this out. 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. And there's only 140 calories in a serving. Keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. And you can build your own box from available flavors such as cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, and cinnamon. And it gets even better than that, because 2 flavors that were introduced for a limited time in cookies and cream and maple waffle, well, now, just like 90s British boy band Take That, they're back for good. So it doesn't matter if you're a Robbie, a Gary, a Howard, a Mark, or a Jason, you can indulge your favorite Magic Spoon cereal and know that it not only tastes great, it's great for you. Go to magicspoon.com/nodunks to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it out today. And be sure to use our promo code NODUNKS at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So it really will be a case of whatever I said, whatever I did, I didn't mean it. I just want my money back for good, and you'll get it. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/nodunks and use the code NODUNKS to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
On the beach, the only place to read your emails and tweets. This is No Dunks. It's Tuesday, October 19th. Happy NBA Day to all you sickos out there. I'm J.E. Skeets. Alongside me, as always, we got Tass Mellis.
Happy NBA Day, everybody.
We got our top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
NBA-o!
NBA-o! The international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Leigh Ellis.
Friends.
And the man making the magic happen all season long, JD.
Hello.
There he is. Here we are. Shout out to the stream team joining us live right now on YouTube. Take a second. Like the video. Hey, comment away. And if you haven't, subscribe. We've officially reached Beach Steppin season here. Going to do these generally once a week where we answer your questions. So send them in. NBA Qs, non-NBA Qs. Email them to nodunks@theathletic.com, or you can tweet them in at No Dunks Inc. Take Ziggy, for example, here, guys. Sent in this hilarious Photoshop this morning of Ben Simmons rocking a stream team cutoff when it's 10:01 a.m. and the stream hasn't started yet. Yeah, sorry. You know we're good for a couple minutes late here, even to start the season. Great stuff, Ziggy. So send us funny stuff like that at No Dunks Inc. on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, we're on TikTok too. Go check that out. Before we get into it, a quick heads up that the Athletic NBA shows live opening day extravaganza tips later today at 3 p.m. Eastern, featuring Zach Harper, Jay King, Dave DeFore, special guest Nate Duncan, and many, many more from the Athletics cast of crazy talented beat writers. So again, that's today at 3 p.m. Eastern. The Athletics YouTube channel is where you can find that mailbag live extravaganza. So go check that out at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Athletics YouTube channel. Great questions, Tass. Lots of good cues to get us started here for our first beach step into the year. But for players drafted in the 2018 NBA draft, the deadline to sign rookie scale contract extensions was at 6 p.m. Eastern on Monday. Now, we discussed the Phoenix Suns locking up Mikal Bridges on yesterday's show, but we had a few more players agree to new terms just before the deadline, coming in right at the buzzer. I'll list them for you, and then I'll tell you who didn't sign Tass, and you can go wherever you want. We had the Grizzlies agreeing to a reported 4-year, $105 million extension with Jaren Jackson Jr. The Suns agreed to a 4-year, $43 million extension with Landry Shamet, not Deandre Ayton. The Hawks agreed to a 4-year, $65 million extension with Lee's sixth man of the year prediction, Kevin
Puerta.
The Bucks agreed to a reported 2-year, $20 million extension with Grayson Allen. The Wizards agreed to a reported 3-year, $40 million extension with Daniel Gafford. And the Pacers agreed to a reported 2-year, $45 million extension with Malcolm Brogdon. That one's a little interesting. Notable players who didn't sign extensions, of course, Deandre Ayton, Marvin Bagley III, Mo Bamba, Colin Sexton, and maybe Miles Bridges, if you want to throw him in there. I guess you could throw Lonnie Walker IV as well. So, Tass, that was a lot of info there for you. But any surprises with who signed or who didn't?
Yeah, Malcolm Brogdon, who wasn't part of the 2018 draft class, signs a 2-year extension. And why that is interesting, a little tidbit, a little curveball there, is that because his contract is now 4 years, Bobby Marks of ESPN knows the CBA far better than us. He cannot be traded this season because of his 4-year extension, or because of it is now his 4-year deal. So that means he won't be traded for Ben Simmons. Take the Pacers off the table for a trade partner for the Philadelphia 76ers. That's why that is interesting. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. With the Grizzlies is interesting because the Grizzlies are shrewd. They don't mess around. They only pay the guys that they want to pay. They traded away Grayson Allen because they didn't want to pay him, guy who signed with the Bucks there. But Jaren Jackson Jr. is part of their future. That is 100% clear, even though some would point out he hasn't done a lot in the NBA because he's been injured, but he's shown plenty, and he is clearly a part of their future. And a guy who is not part of the Cleveland Cavaliers' future, at this point anyways, is Colin Sexton. I just wanted to note this one because I think they have picked their building block in the backcourt as Darius Garland over Colin Sexton. Now, they can sign Colin Sexton next year in the offseason because he's a restricted free agent, let the market set the value and extend him. But at the same time, they didn't. They didn't extend him right now because he's even though I think people will look and say the guy scored 24 per last year. This is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They don't have a lot going for them. Well, they've picked their guy in the backcourt to be their point guard. Colin Sexton, sort of an undersized shooting guard, really more of a 6-man, probably wanted more than the Cavs wanted to pay. And I don't think it's a guarantee that he sticks around past the trade deadline this year. I think it's clear that their future is more in line with Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen, and they go from there. Now, if Sexton is part of that as a 6-man, maybe, but Sexton is on the board, IMO.
Any surprises for you, TK, from these guys that did sign or didn't?
Well, the big surprise is that Deandre Ayton got no deal, and it didn't even feel like it was anything close to a deal, according to Woj's reporting. Basically, the Suns say, you're not a max player, buddy, despite the fact that we just saw Deandre Ayton be an instrumental part of the Phoenix Suns last year in their run to the finals. And as we've seen, if you're going to beat some of the best teams in the league, it helps to have a defender out there who's a big guy who can actually move. And DeAndre Ayton grew a ton playing alongside Chris Paul for the first time last season. We were giving the Suns a lot of kudos yesterday for inking Mikal Bridges to a deal. They got a Landry Shamet deal done, but for some reason, the number 1 draft pick can't get an extension here. Yeah. That was wild stuff to me. And if you've followed the Suns for a long time, it's hard not to look at their ownership and Robert Sarver and say, we've seen this franchise cheap out on draft picks in the past. Are they doing the same thing here? Because there's no doubt DeAndre Ayton's going to get a max deal. Once he becomes a restricted free agent next summer, the Suns can match, which they likely will do. But you run the risk of upsetting DeAndre Ayton, jeopardizing the chemistry you had last season, and you can get him signed to a shorter deal than you would had he signed an extension here. What if he signs a deal with a player out in his 3rd season? You could be losing DeAndre Ayton a year earlier. This to me seems like a major misstep by Phoenix.
Leigh, before we get to our first cue, you got any notes on any of these?
Well, just that they can still obviously extend out Ayton next season on that 5-year deal. So he could still get his money anyway, and it could be one of those things that does sort of cost the Suns at the end because they could have gotten him a little bit cheaper here. So they still hold the power in that sense. He would only be restricted free agent, but it does sort of feel like they should have just tied this up now because Ayton really did improve last season, but now he's got the incentive and motivation to become even better. And that, I think, is probably what he's going to be. If I'm his agent, I'm saying, listen, just make sure that next season there's no question that they can even consider not offering you the 5-year max. So that's what I think is going to happen. But the Suns, it's just one of those things after a great season leaves a bit of a bad taste in your mouth that they didn't just take care of business as they should have right now.
Yeah. I mean, well, they gave out $130 million plus in other extensions to their two guys in Bridges and Shamet, like I mentioned. But yeah, no DeAndre Ayton. And it's always interesting to see how a player approaches this, right? Whether they're inspired to play even better and sort of like a show you, like, oh, yeah, okay, you doubted me for whatever reason. Well, watch this. Or like Trey said, is there any concerns of, he's upset with you and it goes the other way. And he's like sort of checked out a little mentally a bit. We'll see. You're hoping if you're a Suns fan, of course, it's the former. So let's get to our first cue. We don't need to spend a lot of time on these extensions. A lot of money handed out and a lot of it, I think warranted. First cue, Tass.
Bonjour, les Dinks. To celebrate
What a start.
To celebrate its 75th anniversary, the league unveiled a really fun ad campaign called NBA Lane that showed a fully fleshed out neighborhood dedicated to all things NBA. Magic and Bird are friendly neighbors. Kareem and Dirk are shooting driveway hoops. Manu mans the grill. It's great. My question, what places, people, or things not seen would you like to see in NBA Lane? Personally, I would love to browse Chris Anderson's exotic bird shop, see Neek working the reel at a movie theater, or spot Paul Pierce frantically looking for a public bathroom. Turn up, love you guys. That's from Dan in
good.
Cleveland. What do you think, Leigh?
Well, I've got a few here, so I'll sort of try to tell you a little story, and then you can join in at the end. Okay, so we start with a pretty obvious one, an establishing shot of a wedgie stuck in the bus hoop. I think that's a good way to start.
Yep.
We pan down from there to see Patrick Ewing just walking along, just sweating profusely. He strolls past Jimmy Butler's coffee stand where Dennis Rodman is ordering a coffee wearing either his wedding dress or the pajamas he turned up to practice in after Michael Jordan rescued him from Vegas there.
Yep.
Then we move along. We see a banana boat hung up somewhere like a retired jersey. Then the camera catches something moving. It's J.R. Smith cruising by on his hoverboard. And as he's cruising along, he zips past a man in a man's clothing store. And inside we see a tailor with a measuring tape out fitting out Tracy McGrady for a new pair of pants. That's next to a barbershop where Carlos Boozer is in the chair getting some shoe polish applied to his noggin.
This guy's got a whole new commercial for us.
That was great, man.
Those are all great. I can slip those in. Nice little Easter eggs there. Is that it? Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
All right.
It started really just with JR on the hoverboard, and I thought, I think there's a few more here. So, flushed it out a little bit and got some extras.
Well, I like it. I mean, I'll go next. I got a couple as well. I was surprised we didn't get a Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood reference, being it was NBA Lane. By the way, I love the commercial. I think it's really, really well done. But David Robinson, a neighborhood reference there. Or even, remember the Sprite commercial where Tim Duncan's walking dogs? He's got like a paper route too. We got Grant Hill mowing the lawn. That would have been a nice little, little Easter egg callback. Trey, I think you'd like this one. Too bad we couldn't have got like a quick shot over to a pool or something and have the Splash Brothers, Steph and Clay doing like a cannonball, or at the very least like a water gun fight or something like that. A lot of Gary Payton in the actual commercial. Throw Sean Kemp walking with an umbrella in the background. A little Rain Man, or he's got the slickers on or something like that. And the only thing else I would add, I wish there was a Muggsy Bogues somehow inserted into the commercial, like some sort of reference for Muggsy. And what about the fans? All right, it's all about the players in this. What about the fans? Where's Jimmy Goldstein? Where's Nav Bhatia? Where's Clipper Darrell? Yeah, we had mascots. Throw one fan. Jimmy for sure would have been funny. Jimmy on the bus that's full of just kids would have been hilarious to me. But otherwise, I thought they knocked it out of the park. What else, Trey? What do you got?
Leigh took all mine. I can't believe it. I had the banana boat in the mix. I had us working at an underwear store selling wedgies. I had Dennis Rodman visiting a tattoo shop. The only thing I would add that Leigh didn't mention is Mark Cuban working at a Dairy Queen. Remember that old story back in the day?
Yeah.
He criticized NBA refs, said they couldn't even work at a Dairy Queen. So fine, I'll take a shift. I don't know. Put him back there. Cream it up.
Did he work somewhere else too? I feel like I've seen him in a Taco Bell working the line, but maybe it's just
maybe so.
Maybe it's just a DQ. There was the scene on the bus. Obviously, Michael B. Jordan, not Michael A. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan making the bus go. He pointed out to the girl that he's talking to that this game stretches to every corner of the globe, and the kid said, "The world doesn't have corners. I wish Kyrie Irving jumped in and said, "Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
of course it does." That would have been good. We got to get a little Kyrie in there. I hope Zion comes back because he's in this, and I think tomorrow, the day after, people are just going to be chiming in. He's hurt all the time. Why is Zion Williamson in this? I hope Zion comes back real quick to shut up those annoying people who will be on Twitter. I did like the Devin Booker driving up to the Kobe mural, featuring awesome. the Be Legendary quote that Kobe signed on Devin's shoes. Now he's driving a sweet blue Impala, and Devin Booker is a car man. We saw him pull up in the finals last year in his own copper. He calls it Pretty Penny, I believe. He calls it Penny anyways, because it's copper. I wish he got to pull up in his own car, although I'm sure he liked that sweet blue Impala. It was pretty nice. He's got another blue car. He calls it Larry. He calls all his cars names.
Larry.
Wow. Yeah, he calls it Larry. He's got some beauty cars, that guy. But yeah, it was great. It was great seeing Trae Young filling up an ice bath because he's Ice Trae, and that's a nice little nod there. But yeah, there's so many cameos that just fly by. Manu, I think, is what is he cooking, Leigh? I think he's cooking asada, right? Because it's an Argentinian dish.
Yeah. You know what's a good question. I haven't looked into it that closely, but yeah, he has a great little cameo throwing the oop there to Zach LaVine, which is awesome. That's it was really well done.
I was trying to think, like, who's the most random reference in the commercial? Like, you've got some current players that aren't going to be on the NBA 75 list, like a Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, Zach LaVine. Like, they're not going to be on it. But of former players, the weirdest reference I could find, and I grabbed a screen grab. There's a shot where you can see a bunch of jerseys, like on the clothing line outside, like drying. There's a Larry Johnson jersey, I believe, hanging right there by Moses Malone. I just found that one to be a little strange. I don't think Chris Mullin is also going to make this the ultimate NBA 75 list. But I think we're learning the first 25 names tonight.
Yeah.
They're going to do these like over the course of the week. We're going to get 25 names tonight, and then I think 25 more on Wednesday, and then 25 more on Thursday. But yeah, that one's I just noted that. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, Larry Johnson. I like, maybe it's just because it's an iconic jersey, Leigh.
I think so. I think it is. That's probably one of the first ones I think of with the Charlotte Hornets, because he was their number one pick 30 years ago, 1991. And he was that guy who sort of put them on the map. Obviously, Alonzo did as well. But I think you associate, even though he probably, his better days were probably with the Knicks, I suppose. Going to the finals there. But I think it was that first real time that the Hornets became good was because of Larry Johnson, I think.
All right, next question. Hey, none dunkers. I've got an idea. What do y'all think about John Wall going to the Kings? They're young. They've got shooters. Wall can attack the rim, play some D. I don't know, man. Email. I don't know. It could be a good place for him to rehab away from the limelight, like Markelle Fultz, and in a system that seems to work, at least on paper. What do you guys think of this deal? What are some other teams you would like to see Johnny Wall on? Stay steady, Sweaty Letty, Corey Maggette, Ugly Betty. Don't you think Dom walks like his arms are heavy? Wow, that's one of the better signing offs to an email we've gotten. That's from Mo in the Streets, Rat in the Sheets. God, this guy's got bars. All right, thanks, Mo. So John Wall to the Kings, or John Wall to potentially another team. John Wall is a guy I've completely forgotten about.
Totally, yeah.
He is on the Rockets, but he's not going to play for them. So we're waiting on some sort of buyout or some sort of deal. But what do you think about Mo?
John Wall to the Kings? I don't know, man. I don't know. It feels like the Kings only have guards, Rashawn Holmes and Tristan Thompson. I do like the idea. You got to put John Wall around shooters. The idea of him rehabbing his value out of the spotlight is great. I don't necessarily think people are clamoring to watch the Houston Rockets right now. It's not like he's in the spotlight, so that's not much of a problem. And I think that John Wall should be on an offense-first team that needs a creator. To me, that means throwing out contracts. Maybe they figure out some sort of buyout where it's easy for him, John Wall, to kind of pick his team. Why don't you stay in state and go to the Dallas Mavericks? I think that's a nice fit for John Wall, if I'm being honest. They got the shooting out there. They don't have any creators, however, outside of Luka Doncic. You would probably say Jalen Brunson is their next best off-the-dribble guy, but I would love to see John Wall setting up a Tim Hardaway Jr., setting up Luka Doncic for three-pointers, just somebody else who can take over the offense for periods of time so Luka can chill a little bit. That would require John Wall to buy in as a sixth man. He would be a killer sixth man. And I think playing on a playoff team for a good team and kind of elevating their bench units would certainly rehab John Wall's value. He would be in the spotlight, however. So I don't know, man, on that one. But yeah, I think the Mavs is actually a really nice fit for John Wall. Obviously, everybody talks about them as a potential Goran Dragic target, but the Wall contract makes it so it seems like it's hard for him to find a new team right now. But if he could somehow find his way to Dallas, I think that's a solid fit.
Tass, what do you think about the email here from Mo?
Yeah, let me take this one on because I get what you're saying, Mo. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a very tough one to find a very good spot for John Wall. It's just, yeah, obviously the contract is the biggest thing, but even more so, just the style of play. I'm sure John Wall looks at Russell Westbrook and says, damn, I wish that could be me right now. I wish I could be on a championship level team where I could just set guys up and really be, able to cruise into the lane. I think Russell Westbrook's, got that down in LA, and then Kyle Lowry got the one in Miami. With John Wall, I mean, where do you look? The Mavs one is the one I came up with too. I definitely don't think the Mavs would ever think about doing it because I just don't think that they would sign up for long term with John Wall. They're still looking for a star. They thought about Kyle Lowry, I'm sure, but other than that, maybe beside Jamal Murray in Denver, I don't think they would do that. They've already locked in 4 guys financially, so it's not going to happen. Right. What about the Clippers with Reggie Jackson and Eric Bledsoe really as their starting backcourt? John Wall could be a bit of an improvement there, but they already have Terrence Mann as a cheaper alternative just to come in and change things up. The Knicks, Kemba or Fournier, replacing one of those guys or being a 6-man there. They got Derrick Rose. Those guys are all cheaper than John Wall, who's making 40 plus. I think maybe, I get what Mo was going with Sacramento because they just need somebody. They would like to have somebody, even though they have De'Aaron Fox back there. They would like to get their hands on a star. But that number one, that's probably Ben Simmons' spot. He could be going to Sacramento. Right. I think a team like that is the Wolves. If they moved on from D'Angelo Russell, if he could figure that out, if they were desperate for a star, like the Kings are always tend to be desperate for a star, but I don't know, man. I'm with you. I'm with you, Mo.
Yeah, we got a lot of people, or a few people, I guess, in the stream team suggesting the Spurs too as a Wall destination. Leigh, I don't know if you have thoughts on that or any other teams you see John Wall landing on.
Don't think he really fits their timeline. They seem to be going younger, and he's only 31, but he feels like an old 31 because he's had so many injuries. I think a team that is closer to a playoff spot, obviously in the contention, is the Celtics. I think they could use some backcourt help there because they've got basically Marcus Smart, I think, is their starting point guard, and Schroeder, then Archie Diacono as well there. So I think Wall could fit into that sort of a team where a veteran presence, a guy who has made the playoffs, he's been an all-star, he could help them. And certainly I don't think he would steal from Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Those guys are the shooters and scorers. So I think John Wall could help facilitate that. But this is, of course, taking into account that there's no way the Celtics are trading for that contract. $44 million this year with a $47 million option for next year. So
this is the issue.
John Wall, basically, as it stands right now, he almost has to opt out of that contract for next season because I just can't see a team taking him on, certainly in a trade, knowing that he might say, yep, and you're going to have to pay me $47 million next year. So he's going to have to give back a ton of money if he wants to get out of Houston and then have the opportunity to go where he wants. Because I think there'll be plenty of teams would say, all right, we'll take him for nothing, but we're not trading for him.
Yeah, I just imagine if you were to ask 29 different NBA fan bases whether they would want John Wall, and you just put the poll up, yes or no, I think you're getting a lot more no's than yeses, just where he is at this point of his career. It's unfortunate because when healthy, he's super, super exciting. But, he's getting up there, like Leigh said, in age and just the contract too, and what you would be sending out to make it happen. I think there'll be a lot of no's. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some fan bases out there that could talk themselves into revitalizing John Wall, but not on that deal. Whew, that's a lot. $47 million for next year. It's insane.
Player option.
You think he'll opt in?
I mean, obviously he's not going to do it unless he has to. But as I'm saying, for him to go somewhere he wants, there's no way he can
Right.
say I'm taking this contract. But the Wizards basically signed him to that extension because they kind of had to, because it was like they don't really do all that well. Apart from him and Beal, they haven't had anyone come there. So they had to sort of sign him to that deal. Unfortunately for them, they've gotten out of underneath it. But now the Rockets are like, we don't want it either. Anyone else?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Hi, No Dunkers. Going to come at you right now with what I think is a pretty solid question. If Jamal Murray comes back 100% healthy, would you rather have him or Devin Booker on your team? That's from Peter B. I lined this one up, Skeets, because I thought these are your two kids.
Guys.
Pick between your children. This is fair, Peter B. They're very similar age, similar accomplishments, similar game. Yeah. But who you got, Skeets?
It is, but I'm picking Devin Booker as my favorite child, as you just said, Tess. Yeah, both are awesome. It's wild that they are almost identical age. Booker's played, I believe, at least one more season more than Jamal Murray has. I go Book. He's just a better scorer. Though like percentage-wise, it's really close. Like effective field goal percentage, like 3-point percent and all that. In terms of just getting buckets, career average, Booker's 23 points per game, and Jamal Murray is much, much lower than that, around, I think, 16 after a slower start than maybe a Devin Booker. Love both these guys. I would want both these guys on my team at that shooting guard position. I just love their mentality. Jamal gets the Canadian bump, sure, but even with that, Leigh, I go Book. If I have to pick one of these two guys right now, and that is trying to take into consideration Jamal Murray being completely healthy. I still go Book, though, just at this point right now.
Yeah, Booker gets the nod here, but Jamal Murray, remember that playoff run 2 seasons ago in the bubble? I mean, he was unbelievable putting up those 50-point games and carrying the Nuggets at times. Like, he was incredible, but Devin Booker is just a little bit better than him at the moment. I think if Jamal Murray can come back, one thing that has slowed down Jamal Murray at times is he gets off to a slow start during the season. I think that's part of the reason why his average is a little bit lower. He tends to find his rhythm a bit towards the end of the season. I think there's no question Jamal Murray is going to be a multiple all-star throughout his career, but we haven't seen that just yet, whereas Book has been in there a couple of times. The Book just seems to be a little bit further along in his development right now. But I would not be unhappy to have Jamal Murray on my team. I think he is untradeable there at the moment in Denver because he and Jokic have fantastic chemistry when they're together. But Book gets the nod here, just.
Well, that's part of the equation maybe too, though. Kadar, I see here in the stream team, Murray really benefits from playing with Jokic. There's probably some truth to that. Put Booker beside a guy like him, a playmaker like Jokic, and maybe, he's doing even more impressive things than he already has. I think that's fair. Trey, you're picking between Jamal Murray and Devin Booker. Where do you go?
I'm taking Devin Booker. He just had 2 40-point games in the finals against the Milwaukee Bucks, who are one of the better defensive teams we've seen in the past 5 years. And I think part of the reason we haven't seen Jamal Murray be an all-star is that a guy like Devin Booker is a better regular season player than Jamal Murray. I just think that Murray is happy to play off Jokic during the regular season, like you guys are saying, whereas Booker, he definitely plays off of Chris Paul, but I still think that Devin Booker is the number one guy there, and I think he's been the number one guy since he's been there, whereas Murray, he'll turn into the number one guy come playoff time when it's more important to have somebody breaking things down off the dribble. So, I mean, it's a really close call. I think you would give the edge to Murray as a shooter. He's definitely a better 3-point shooter than Booker. That's one of the weirdest things to me about Devin Booker's game is he's got an incredible looking jump shot. We all know him as a shooter, but still he's just around league average. I think he's 34% last year. Not all that good, really, but he's able to also get into the mid-range game. He can finish at the rim. He's a little bit better playmaker with the ball in his hands. So I think ultimately going Booker, but in a playoff series, I think it's, one of them could have the better night any single night out there.
Yeah. Cass, anything to add?
Well, I'll add that Peter B, a great comparison. Mm-hmm. Quite often these emails saying, who you got, this guy or that guy, are pretty lousy. But Peter B, you stepped up to the plate, bang, you knocked one out of the park here. So very, very good. I would tend to lean with Devin Booker, just because he is more consistent, even though what you guys are saying is totally true. Jamal Murray, the better 3-point shooter. And in a playoff series, he's shown that he can get super ridiculously hot. And yeah, he just hasn't been there as a regular season rock for the Nuggets like Jokic has or like Booker has. So it's hard to go away from Devin Booker and what he's accomplished. Now, if Jamal Murray had a full season last year, maybe things are a little different. I think he was evolving. By far his best 3-point percentage of his career last year at 41%, which is scorching hot, and why he is as efficient as Devin Booker. You said those true shooting percentages, effective field goal percentages. That's why could be more valuable possession to possession, because he hits threes, unlike D Book. But Devin Booker has been more consistent. He's had to be the guy. He's had to grow in a different way than Jamal Murray has, having been in this league as a number one guy, told that he can't play defense and all that, and then becoming their number one guy, even though Chris Paul pushed him along. That hasn't been the case with Jamal Murray, but maybe Jamal could have been that guy to a degree last year if he got another chance at the playoffs after the bubble playoffs, but he didn't. So it's unfortunate for him because he's got to kind of come back, and hopefully he'll be 100% healthy, like our man Peter B suggests. Because the guy, those playoff series, the last time we saw him in the playoffs against the Utah Jazz, him and Donovan Mitchell going at it. I mean, those are a thing of beauty, man. Those were ridiculous. Averaged 26 that postseason.
Well, that's the wild part when you compare them on Basketball Reference. Like I said, Booker's got the better scoring numbers regular season wise and has played more games, but the postseason, Jamal Murray's played in more postseason games, 33-22 to Booker's. And while he doesn't score as much still as Booker overall, I mean, 24-6 and 5 for Jamal Murray in 33 playoff games on 47% shooting and 40% from three. That's amazing. And you said there, Trey, and it's spot on with Booker. We just think of him as an amazing 3-point shooter. We've seen him in 3-point contests. We've seen him win one, for crying out loud. But in the playoffs, he's only a 32% 3-point shooter. So he sort of struggled there, which is wild. Also saw somebody ask, still with I believe it was, who's the better defender of these two?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty comparable. I don't even know if I could lean towards one over the other. I don't think I would.
These guys aren't out there for their defense.
No. Get buckets, and they're both good at it. But great question there from Peter B. We got lots more still to get to on a Beach Steppin' episode here, but first, a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
You want to know what makes LeBron James King James? Do you?
Sure.
Sleep. That's right. Some people say sleep, not scoring or passing, is LeBron's best skill. And now Calm, the number one app for sleep and meditation, has teamed up with LeBron to help you activate the power of sleep. LeBron and Calm know that your mind is like any other muscle in your body, but you don't have to be a world champion to learn how to train it. Calm can help you train your brain so you sleep better, reduce your stress, and perform at your best, just like King James. Sleep is a critical part of LeBron's mental fitness routine. Quote the King, "Getting good sleep and finding time to rest is one of the most valuable things I can do for my body and mind. From the sound of rain falling on leaves to bedtime sleep stories, Calm puts me to sleep within minutes, which means I wake up ready for any challenge." LeBron said that. So head to calm.com/nodunks today. For a limited time, you'll get 40% off a Calm premium subscription. That's calm.com/nodunks for 40% off a premium subscription. Calm. Sleep like a king.
Hey, Masterclass. Yeah, Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the world's best minds anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. You can learn how to survive in the wilderness from Jesse Krebs. Definitely taking that one if I ever get on Survivor. Or you can improve your Indian cooking skills from Matter Jaffrey. I'm into that. Or you can learn filmmaking from James Cameron. James, shouldn't you be working on Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5 right now? Not doing a masterclass. They must have thrown money at him. With over 100 classes from a range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to do is closer than you think. It's basketball tryouts down at the middle school this week, so I plopped Jackson down to watch Steph Curry's masterclass on shooting, ball handling, and scoring. I guess they haven't reached out to you, Leigh, for your masterclass, so Steph is just going to have to do. I highly recommend you check it out. Get unlimited access to every masterclass and as a No Dunks listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/nodunks. That's masterclass.com/nodunks for 15% off masterclass.
How are we feeling about Jackson's chances this year, JD, making the team?
Well, he's been practicing like crazy, but pretty stiff competition over there.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see.
He had a bit of a growth spurt last time I saw him by the looks of it, JD. Is he?
Yeah. Now he's one of the tallest in the class, so he's got that going.
Whoa, that's always good, especially at that age. Just be the tall guy.
Slapping balls.
Not that I would know about it. I was definitely not that. Trey, were you the tall guy early on, or was that a late growth spurt for you?
I became the tall guy my sophomore year.
Pretty
high
late.
school. Yeah, I went from 5'9" to 6'2" during a summer. So
Wow.
Dream bean.
Awesome. All right. Good luck to Jackson. Keep us updated, JD. I just filled out a form to be an assistant coach with my buddy Grish for my godson Andreas's team coming up here at the YMCA. So I'm gonna have some great stories about coaching. Hopefully 6-year-olds, or really just great stories about my buddy Grish yelling at 6-year-olds. And if you played with my buddy Grish, they're not going to be working on their offensive game much. It might be good lockdown defense, but Jesus, I think that's why
you'll be the shooting.
I think
coach
I'm the
then,
offensive coach. Yeah, he's worrying about defense. All right, to our next question here. Ayo, love the show, guys. You even got me watching the Fast and Furious films, which is something I never thought I would do. Anyway, I got a real first world problem here. My wife and I are going to New York in February, and while we're there are only 2 NBA games being played on the same day, and I assume at the same time. The Knicks host Oklahoma City, and the Nets host Sacramento. So, do I go to the Garden for the experience, or to the Barclays Center to watch Kevin Durant and James Harden? Thanks for the help. Keep up the good work. That's from Danny. Real dilemma here, Leigh. If, again, these are being played, let's say, at the same time, do you go to MSG to watch the Knicks play the Thunder? Not a great team. Or do you go and possibly, hopefully watch Kevin Durant and James Harden on the Nets host the Kings? You know my answer to this. I'm going to Madison Square Garden. If you've never been, I really think if you're a basketball fan, you should experience it at least once if you can. I was trying to make a really weird music equivalent to this, Trey, and I was struggling. The best I could come up with, and it's not good, okay? So I'll start with that. It would be like, do you want to go see, and if they were alive, a Tribe Called Quest at Red Rocks or the Hollywood Bowl, like an iconic venue? Like the Garden, and a good band, of course, or do you want to see Outkast at like your run-of-the-mill arena, like the Barclays Center, for crying out loud? So you can't go wrong. They're both going to be great, both the music and the NBA. But one is because of the venue, Red Rocks or Hollywood Bowl. Again, one of these iconic spots. I lean towards that. That's with the Madison Square Garden element. So. That's a horrible, probably again. I spent
I'm laughing right now just imagining a Tribe Called Quest performing at Red Rocks.
Yeah, I know.
That's the crazy part to me.
Okay. Well, help me with this, because I was talking to Nora. I was like, okay, I want to try and come up with this music analogy, and I couldn't decide on the band. I was trying to do a band at first. For some reason, I had Aerosmith in my head, and then she's like, "Well, is Aerosmith the Knicks or is it the Nets?" And I'm like, "Well, I think I'm using Aerosmith as the."
I think they're the Knicks.
I think they're the Knicks too. Okay,
yeah.
Aerosmith at Red Rocks is to what in this then? Who would it be?
It would be the Spice Girls today at the Hollywood Bowl, right? So it would be, do you want to see Aerosmith 1976 at Red Rocks, or do you want to see Spice Girls today at the Hollywood Bowl?
What?
Right?
No. See, this is why it was tough. No, because get rid of
the Nets are better.
Let's just go with Red Rocks. What we know is Red Rocks, iconic venue, like Madison Square Garden. And then Barclays Center, fine. It's a normal arena.
I see what
it's
you're
newish,
saying.
So it's fine. But let's just use Barclays Center to see Band X there.
Right. So you're seeing the Spice Girls at Red Rock.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. The Superior Band.
Or you're seeing
Yeah, what's better than-
Aerosmith circa 1974 in the Skydome.
Why are we comparing Aerosmith to Spice Girls? That's very odd. But all right.
It's the knit. If you want to see a championship team in their prime, that's the Nets, right? So that's Aerosmith, 1977.
Okay, I gotcha.
Right.
I gotcha.
Or if you want to see just a band, if you want to see, I don't know, Cold Chisel, apologies, Leigh, at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
It's just like you don't know any of the songs, but hey, the venue's pretty cool, you know, like
Well, yeah, Nora wanted me for you, Leigh, to use Robbie Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Robbie Williams are the Knicks at Red Rocks, incredible venue. And then what's the opposite of that? That's where I was struggling. So who's a better artist in your mind, Leigh? I mean, who do you love?
Well, so it's funny you say Robbie Williams at Nebworth. That was where there was 125,000 people there.
I absolutely didn't say that.
Well, that's the greatest like concert that Robbie Williams has ever played. That 3 days there, right?
Now,
story, bro.
Now, so the band that opened for them was The Darkness, right?
Okay.
Now, no one had heard of The Darkness before that weekend at
Love.
Nebworth, right?
Right.
And they were incredible. They absolutely killed it. They were awesome. Everyone loved them. They were a huge thing. And then I went and saw The Darkness at Brixton Academy after that summer, like 3 or 4 months later. And they just didn't have that same pull, you know, because they weren't at Nebworth. So the venue absolutely boosted The Darkness. But when they were on their own without Robbie there coming after, it was like, a little bit flat. They had an opening band and it was like, yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. So the venue is massive in this scenario. Like the venue really helps the whole experience. So, you know, I don't know where I'm going with this story.
I was wondering how you were going to wrap that up.
I knew that.
I
was
saw
gonna
The
be a
Darkness
cool
at
story.
Summerfest in Milwaukee, Leigh, and they fucking rocked my ass off.
Yeah,
so go see them if you get a chance at an outdoor festival.
Exactly.
I don't know if
Keyword.
anybody looked at the schedules here. These games both take place on Valentine's Day, February 14th. Pick something else is what I would say. Or just the only thing to choose, whichever one you can sit closer. Look at the prices, see where you can sit the closest. That'll be the most fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here.
Wow.
Jason Fire 34. The Rolling Stones are the Knicks, I guess, at Red Rocks, and Taylor Swift is the Nets at the Barclays Center. Leigh, what are you picking of those two?
Well, you know, I've seen the Rolling Stones outdoor venue, and you know, they were a little bit flat at the time because they didn't have any new stuff. I haven't seen Taylor, so I'd probably
That's the key. That's what we're talking. That's what I'm talking about. Like it's when you're seeing them.
Yeah.
Like the Knicks today. I hear the Knicks are back. That's what I've heard.
Well, the Knicks are a good team.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Exactly.
They're
But
rocking in the
they're-
preseason, that arena. That's going crazy. Julius Randle hit the game winner the other day. You thought they won the championship just watching it. So.
That's a huge part of this.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. You might. I think you're just. I like your chances of getting a closer game between the Knicks and the Thunder for some reason, even though the Thunder are going to be bad, than I do the chances of a Nets Kings game having that juice in the Barclays Center. Though, if you just want to see Kevin Durant and James Harden, I mean, you want to see those, you want to do the little check mark that you've seen those, two players that, for crying out loud, could be on the NBA 75 list in the next couple of days here, then go do that. I don't know. Tass, what do you got here? What's the answer?
I don't think you got to go and look in the past. I don't think you got to go back and think of the good old days in Madison Square Garden. You got a championship team right in front of you. You got a possibility to go see two of the greatest of our time, and Kevin Durant and James Harden. Just go do it. Just go watch the Brooklyn Nets. Let's not get complicated.
Yeah, what are the odds
here.
both of them are playing February 14th? Low. Very low is what I'm saying.
James Harden does not miss games. Kevin Durant, I think it's pretty high. I'm picking them easily over Aerosmith 30 years later, Spice Girls in their prime, Taylor Swift in her prime, or the Darkness in the right. I guess it's the right venue for the Darkness, but go see Kevin Durant. What are you waiting for?
Okay.
Speaking of
When's
the Spice
the
Girls,
All-Star game if this is happening on February 14th?
Great point. Must be a week later,
a week
maybe?
after, I guess.
Yeah. This is right before the All-Star break, probably.
Yeah, just quickly on the Spice Girls, I think Posh Spice Victoria, she's retired. She's no longer she's going to never do any reunion shows or anything like that. So that's kind of like me retiring from the NBA. You know, like she was like just the worst singer. That they're better off without her. So
hasn't she been retired forever?
Well, she's kind of hung on there for a bit, but
she was there at the London opening ceremonies, right?
Was she? Is that right? Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Posh Spice is like Kyrie Irving. You're not sure if she's going to be there or not.
AJ, tell me you've never been to MSG without telling me you've never been to MSG. My man, yeah, you come to watch the game. That's the important part. You want a close game. I get it. Hopefully it's tight in the fourth quarter, maybe a little overtime action. But if you never watched a game at Madison Square Garden, it's something special, man. It's just the crowd's into it. That's the big part, especially with the Knicks actually being decent now. And it's just beautiful. And I've been to the Barclays Center. It is a nice arena, especially being new. But MSG, it's something else, as I've said a million times now on this show. So if you get a chance, I would go with that one personally. And you get to see Dort and SGA. He's going to make the All-Star team. He'll probably be being announced to make the All-Star team.
That late in the season, no
right
chance those guys are playing. They'll be shut down for the year.
Yeah, that's true, especially if they start well. That's a good point. All right, well, let us know, Danny. We want an update come February. Or maybe in the next week when you book these tickets. Let us know what you ultimately go with for you and your wife there on Valentine's Day. Love is in the air. All right, next cue.
Next one here. Hi, No Dunks. Listening to your Summer League podcast, I was excited to hear Tass and Dave talking Saucony. Oh, yeah. I was actually an ambassador of Saucony. Talking Saucony. I was actually an ambassador of Saucony doing triathlons from 2014 until the pandemic hit. Every year I got to choose any shoe to train in. Woo, woo. I also love the classic jazz shoe. Who doesn't? And Kinvara is my go-to running shoe. That is a good one. After I lost my sponsorship, I was keen to try a different brand after wearing Saucony for so many years. So my question is, was there a time you decided to try something new and love that one even more than the product you were so faithful to? I hope Saucony will sponsor you guys soon. Much love from the Philippines, but I'll be moving to Melbourne with my girl in a few months. I'm now Team Leigh. Oi, oi, oi. That's from Miguel. Trey, was there a brand that you converted to and liked it even more than your previous love?
Do you consider sandwiches brands?
Sure.
Okay. In that case, I've started eating Philly cheesesteaks instead of the Chicago-style Italian beef. Been a beef man my entire life, as you guys know, and seeing all this stuff with Candace Parker winning the championship, going to Portillo's, love me an Italian beef. But in the past month, I've started ordering the Philly cheesesteak at places. It's a banger. I just gotta say, I was sleeping on the Philly cheesesteak for 37 years because I just wanted that dip. You know, I wanted a juicy beef sandwich, but a cheesy beef sandwich is nice too. So shout out to the cheesesteak, Philly. You're doing it right, but now seeing all this Candace Parker stuff, I might have to go back. It's like a 1 month dalliance with the Philly cheesesteak. Is that enough? I don't know. I guess I'll have to do some experiments.
Cheesesteaks are good.
Cheesesteaks are really good. I used to be like, why are you putting mushrooms in there? Oh, because they're also good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good
mine's also food related too. I love ketchup. Used to love ketchup. Still love ketchup. Of course with fries. Heck, even eggs. But I have not recently, I guess over the last couple of months, I really went Zuckerberg on this, and I'm all about that Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce now. It's like, I just use that instead of ketchup with fries, with even eggs. And I can't believe it because I've been team ketchup for like 40 years of my life. And now I'm just converted to the barbecue sauce as the replacement for it. It's wild, but it's that's Sweet Baby Ray's. I just got to keep saying Sweet Baby Ray's. I love that video of him saying Sweet Baby Ray's a billion times. But yeah, Leigh, that's where I've gone. And I don't know, it might be like a chip. We've talked about this before. Chip flavors sort of like they come and go in your life. You're like, suddenly you're all into dill pickle and then you can't stand to look at it. It could happen here. I could be back on the ketchup train, but right now I'm barbecue.
That's salt and vinegar for me. I've been a big salt and vinegar head. Then you go missing for a couple of years. It always brings you back because it's like,
they put you on the milk carton. Have you seen this man? Hasn't eaten a salt and vinegar chip in 2 years.
And then all of a sudden you get them and you're like, yeah, why did I ever leave this? And then you're back on the salt and vinegar wagon, heavy for the next few months, For me, I was always a Dell computer man. Hated the Mac. Hated it. Like, no way I'm ever getting a Mac. Nah, they're too pretentious. Look at me with my Mac. Anyway, I started working with a friend in Toronto one time, and he had a spare computer for me, and it was a Mac. And I had this secondhand crappy old Dell, and he was like, well, you can have this Mac if you want. And I was like, nah, it's fine. I'll use my Dell. And then I saw the Mac working, and I'm like, oh, my God. What am I doing with this? I fling the Dell out the window. Like, get out of here. The Mac was just so much better, so much more. I got so much better use out of it. The battery was more reliable, didn't have as many lagging problems and things like that. So now if I see someone with a Dell, I'm like, ugh, get away from me. That was my former life. I'm fully on the Max now, taking it to the max.
Are you saying you used to like Dell pickles?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
But what if Adele was playing at Red Rocks?
Ooh. And Mac Miller, rest in peace. Was playing at Barclays,
Fleetwood
yeah.
Mac.
Or Fleetwood Mac. That's good.
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac
Nice
is a
job.
solid one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so you're just team Mac.
Now I'm
Yeah.
Team Mac. I got the Apple iPhone, of course. I dallied with the Apple Watch for a while. It didn't really fit my style, but yeah, you just
What do you mean it
realize.
didn't fit your style?
What is
I
your
just-
style?
You know, like I don't like the look of an Apple Watch on your hand, on your wrist, because it looks just like
Yeah, stop wearing it on your hand.
No, but it's like, you know, you're always then attached, and that's what I don't like. So I did try another watch there, just the classic watch for a while, but I didn't really like that either. So I'm just not a jewelry man, really, apart from the wedding ring. That's about it. But yeah, you know, the Apple Watch one we all had them, I think. Tass, do you have one nowadays or no?
I got one now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Last
we-
few months.
Yeah, we all had them going there for a while, and
Still
it was,
wearing it, man.
you know, it was kind of
Nice.
good. But then I was like, nah, I don't like this anymore. So got
Is
rid
that
of it.
maybe because you have so much arm hair that you have to like part it to look at your watch? Is that possible?
No, it's
I
fine.
mean,
It's fine.
all
You know.
right.
Whoa, hey, oh.
No wonder you had to wear it on your hand.
Yeah, exactly. Tass, is that your answer? Actually, I mean, what Leigh just said, sort of like coming back to the Mac world after you went Android there with the phone for a little bit.
Listen, I miss my Samsung for sure. I miss having a separate volume for my alarm versus my ringtone. Of course I do. I miss that customization. But yes, the practicality of being able to airdrop and share everything with the Mac and the phone, of course, it trumps all those little options that you get with with the Samsung. Although the Samsung was free for several years for me, so I liked that. That was nice.
That's nice.
That was a cool little feature. Tim Cook not handing me Apple iPhones as a freebie. That's not happening with Mr. Cook. But yeah, I didn't think I was going to get on the Apple Watch thing. You guys were sitting around the table during our starters days. We sat at a very cozy table meant for 6, and we had 6 sprawled out there for several hours. I saw 5 watches around me at all times. No one ever took off a watch. But I guess Trey, maybe JD are the only ones who really JD, you're still around? Are you still an Apple Watch man?
I am, yeah.
Okay, yeah. People seem to be dying off. Lee's gone. Skeets doesn't wear it as much.
I don't wear it as much, but I still wear it. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt doesn't wear it as much. I mean, you either do it or you don't, though. Are you a running man or are you a full-time?
Oh, yeah, but I'm not running right now, Tass. I can put my watch
I
on
know.
after, yeah.
Yeah, I know. But are you see, I'm saying you don't wear it as a watch.
No, I guess not. I think with the show, too, I was noticing when I was wearing it, I would always forget to turn its, like, you know, notification or ringer off. So it'd be buzzing away on my wrist, or you could maybe even hear it sometimes. So I stopped wearing it generally for the show because it's like I keep forgetting that part. You know, no problem turning the phone ringer off, but I would sometimes forget the old watch. But yeah, I still wear it I love it for running, of course, because you don't even need to run with your phone. That's the best part. I love that. You can still listen to podcasts.
Yeah, you gotta go silento, like the number one hit. Watch me. You gotta go silento.
Sure.
All the time on phones and watches.
Yeah,
if you're in
for
a
sure.
company
No
setting,
notifications.
you've got to turn it off. And you can turn off all your notifications for your watch. You know, you can be picky and choosy. That's the great thing about a watch. I find I use my phone less because I've got a watch.
That's good. All right, let's hear from everybody with all these questions. Let us know in the stream team your answers. Let us know in the YouTube comments. Tweet them in at @NoDunksInc. We got to take one more break, but we still got a Q or two, so don't go anywhere.
Yes, this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Check out betterhelp.com/theathletic. The best way to think about therapy is through a bunch of analogies. For example, we get our cars tuned up to prevent bigger issues down the road. We try to eat our fruits and veggies to help us stay healthy in the mind and body. We pick Lego up off the carpet at home to prevent the inevitability of stepping on it in the middle of the night when we go downstairs for a glass of water. Going to therapy is like all of these. It's routine maintenance for your mental and emotional wellness to prevent bigger issues down the road. Going to therapy doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means you're investing in yourself to keep your mind healthy. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Why invest in everything else and not your mind? This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp and No Dunks. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and No Dunks listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/theathletic. That's betterhelp.com/theathletic.
When I got my Helix mattress delivered, came in a box, I was pretty excited. I was excited for a couple of reasons. First, I got a mattress in a box. Just never had that happen before. I always purchased a mattress, threw it on the old roof, and drove that thing home. So I like the fact that I could stay home and I got one sent to me. The other reason, I thought the unboxing would make me a TikTok star. I just thought that if you're watching the video here with us on the YouTube stream, I thought that vacuum sealed plastic would just unwrap. And as I unwrapped it, it would just knock me against the wall. But it did absolutely the opposite of that. People aren't watching TikToks for a full minute, and that's what happened to me. Nothing happened for the first 30 seconds, although I thought I was going to get hit as soon as I started to peel the plastic a little bit. I jumped out of the way.
Scared you.
I thought I was going to get hit.
His legs taken out.
Yeah, nothing happened, though. It was a little anticlimactic, I got to be honest.
I'm actually so glad you posted that video because we got a new mattress over the summer and Laura was very nervous, the same as you. She's like, we got to have the kids away from this when we open it. We got to be very safe. We got to put away everything breakable. I'm like, trust me, this is going to be fine. It is going to be anticlimactic. Do not put this on TikTok.
Yeah, this will not get you any views. I saw what Taz did. It was a crappy 45-second video of him being a little bit scared. I get what you're saying, Laura. I get what you're saying. I thought I was done. I thought I was done for. I just thought it was so packaged so tightly that mattress would get to its full shape. It didn't happen, although I pulled it apart. It did get to its full shape, and I have enjoyed it since. And you will too. If you don't like it, you get 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it. I don't even think you have to repackage it in the plastic. Helix even has financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away. Helix even has cooling technology. If you and your family can never agree on the temperature of the thermostat, you better believe that's us. Couples fight about a lot of things. Your mattress doesn't need to be one of them. Oh, temperature talk every night in my house. Can't go without it. Love it. And then in the morning when we wake up, let's talk about the temperature one more.
Who runs cold? Who runs hot in your house? Then?
I run hot underneath covers.
Right.
And Danielle wants it warmer.
Right.
I can't stand it.
You like
get
it
hot.
cool during the night then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My lower half gets scorching hot. I sweat. Yeah. Anyway, Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helix.com/nodunks.
A few weeks ago, I attended my first wedding in years. It's been a long time. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. Getting ready for the event, it was a little nerve-wracking because I'm pulling out my suits and my dress shirts and my ties, and I'm looking at all of it going, I don't know. Is any of this good anymore? Does it even fit? And I went through some of them. I have suits that look like they could be on Boardwalk Empire. They are like, I was like, why did I buy this? Like, they're so dated and they don't fit well. I have a few that work, but I need some new suits, definitely. And we all know like having the right suit just can bring out something special in us. It's the fix up, look sharp mentality. So thank goodness for our sponsor, Indochino, because with them by our side, creating your best look is more affordable than you think. And that's a key part here. So I did a little online shopping for my Indochino, got my wife Nora to help me with the measurements. I got a tiny ass neck, man. Oh my goodness.
What is that, like 13 inches around?
No, 8. I'm kidding. I think it's
same
14.
as my hat size.
Yeah, I think it's 14 and a half. Anyway, we did the measurements. You plug them into the website. You answer a few personalized questions. Boom. You get sent custom clothing. Indochino offers completely custom fitted suits, shirts, casual wear, and more at surprisingly affordable prices. Every piece is made to your exact measurements, and you can customize so many details: the fabric, monograms, statement linings. You can create a suit that fits you and your style perfectly. And the best part, Indochino suits start at just $399 with all customizations included. $399. That's very, very affordable. That's basically, when I think about it, the cost of a wedding gift sometimes. It depends how close you know the people. But that's good. That's a good deal. And Indochino is now open at select Nordstrom stores, giving you even more ways to get great fitting, personalized clothing. Find your nearest location at Indochino.com. And right now you can get $50 off any purchase of $399 or more by using code NODUNKS at checkout. That's $50 off a purchase of $399 or more at INDOCHINO.com. Promo code NODUNKS.
Indochino with a D. Nice callback there, Min Power. Nice callback to yesterday's Indochino
yes, to 24 hours ago. One more cue.
I think we got 2 more. I think you're up first there, Skeets.
Did I miss one?
You're a bit of a John Skipper there. That's
I
why.
did.
That's why Leigh's going to claim that he was thrown off. Although, come on, Leigh. You're
Look. Yeah, no, I have definitely been off before, but I was thrown off on that one because I was like, I thought we had one more cue coming.
Yeah, but that was silly. Why would we only put one question after the second ad break? That was my bad, though. I should have caught that. Okay, so we got 2 cues. That's great. Sup, no dunks?
I'm just giving people more money than the more value for them, man. Putting the ads later. Get out of here.
Oh, I know. Putting the ads later. Yeah, but just a bunch of ad reads and then one question and then goodbye. I mean, yeah, I guess.
We'll make it a long goodbye.
So no dunks. I was rewatching the 2016 Christmas Day game between the Warriors and Cavs, and I was reminded of just how underrated that game is. The highlights alone are enough to make it an iconic game. Not to mention, it's topped off with a game-winning shot by Kyrie Irving. So my cue. What are some other underrated NBA games? That's from Samuel B. Tass. What do you got?
Samuel B. Good question. Let's talk about some games that aren't talked about enough. And I think Paul George versus LeBron James in the Heat Pacers era, when the Pacers seem to be on top of the league with Roy Hibbert and David West and George Hill and Lance Stevenson. But Paul George was the star of that team that got really close to knocking off the Heat. They went to 7 games in 2013 and then 6 games in 2014. Now, going to 2013, that series, Paul George versus LeBron, was really great. Going to 7 games. Game 2, third quarter, the Heat were up 1-0, but in the third quarter, the Pacers would not die in Miami, and Paul George kind of lulled LeBron to sleep on the perimeter, then flew by him, and then had a huge throwdown on Chris Anderson's mohawk that Chris Anderson complained about. But Paul George, watching that play, I could watch that play 500 times because he looks so much more athletic. He's obviously still incredible, but that was his peak athleticism before he got injured the next year. The Pacers won that game, so it was 1-1. Going back to Indy, they had a chance, but Miami stole game 3, and it went 7 games. It was a great series. So I think Paul George is kind of forgotten about as one of those guys that lost to LeBron, like many, many, many guys in the Eastern Conference. And we even talked about John Wall a little bit earlier in the show. I think people will forget peak John Wall, and Paul George still playing great. But I think people will forget about peak Paul George. Those series, it wasn't just another dude that lost to LeBron. It was close. It got to 7 games, and that dunk I could watch a billion times. And then there is that the handshake, the famous thing that is talked about a lot. LeBron shaking Paul George's hand after that jam later on in the game. So that's a little respect there from those two dudes, because LeBron knew the Pacers were coming for them, but yeah, they were able to knock them off.
This is a good one from Andrew in the stream team. The first home game for the new Charlotte Hornets. Kemba Walker had a game-winning shot, capping a comeback by the Hornets. Good call. That's an underrated game right there. Hadn't thought about that one in a long time. What do you got, Leigh?
Yeah, mine's probably not underrated because it was a big game, but it was kind of forgotten because of the season it was in. And it's Klay Thompson's Game 6 against the Thunder in 2016. Because remember, if the Thunder win that game, they go to the finals. And they were leading by 7 points with just under 6 minutes to go. And then and Klay had 19 points in that fourth quarter, finished with 41, hit the 11 threes. It was just an incredible game. But because... And then the Thunder had to go, the Warriors had to go on and win Game 7. Of course, they go to the finals and lose. And so it's almost like you just forget just how impactful that game was. Kevin Durant wins that game. I don't think he joins the Warriors next season. I mean, it had such an impact on what happened after that game as well. So, Klay has got the reputation for Game 6. He's had a few other ones against the Rockets. He had another one as well. But I just remember watching that game because it was my birthday on that night. And it was like the Warriors... their season looked like it was going to come undone right then in the conference finals. Instead, Klay has just an incredible performance. I remember that 1-3 that he hit where he caught it kind of right at the top of the key, but deep near the halfway line. He didn't even really move his feet. He just flung it at the rim and knocked it in. And of his 11 threes, I think 10 came when the Thunder were leading the game. So he was just huge. So, I don't know. I mean, it's probably not underrated, but I sort of think it gets a little bit swept under the carpet now because the Warriors obviously, blew it in the finals there.
So 2016, that was what, your 58th, 59th? Trying to do the math real quick. That's cool. That's a fun memory. That's good. Okay. What do you got, Trey? Underrated game.
Couple more from that season from Tomas Carnero. I had this on my list. OKC versus the Warriors overtime game. That's the double bang from Steph Curry at half court. Legendary. Also, the Bucks snapping the 24-game streak from the Warriors. I think we were watching that at Ernie Johnson's house the night it happened. And another streak snapper I will add is the Bulls breaking the Heat's 27-game win streak in Chicago in 2013. It's crazy to think now because like a 27-game win streak, amazing. Right up there with the 33-game win streak from the Lakers, but they didn't set the record. The Bulls getting this win just put them into the playoffs when they did nothing. But at the time, it was a huge game, right? You're like just in the middle of March. Somehow this becomes the biggest game on the schedule because everybody is giving the Heat their best game. That was an awesome one. Had some flagrant fouls from LeBron, like bodying Carlos Boozer, sending him flying. A huge game from Luol Deng. Young Jimmy Butler hitting some floaters and some massive plays from Kirk Heinrich in the fourth quarter. So that was a fun one to relive on YouTube.
Those are great. As a quick apology for screwing up the rundown and the ad placement and some of the dead air, I just wanted, again, I'm sorry to share this photo of Jeff Foxworthy with everyone from Game 2 of the 2004 Finals.
Thanks, Jeff.
So apologies for screwing that up. Everybody on YouTube's looking at a weird photo of Jeff Foxworthy again at the 2004 Finals between the Pistons and Lakers. I just stumbled upon this on Getty Images and I was like, that's a weird photo. There he is. Okay. I don't know if that's an Indochino he's wearing there or not. So, not sure they existed at that time.
Great. Pull that up real quick here. Sure. We got a question from Graham Barker who says, what is that he's reading? Good question. But Graham Barker says, is that Larry the Cable Guy beside him?
Probably.
I mean, we're seeing a shirtless plaid shirt and a camouflage hat. I guess Jeff Foxworthy could know other people who wear that out and about, but if you're sitting next to Jeff Foxworthy and you're wearing a sleeveless plaid shirt, you're probably Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, I bet it is. I think he's reading, the program, maybe. Like,
the game book.
Yeah, it looks.
It does look like a basketball photo.
Yeah. There's something there. He's looking at hoops head. Jeff Foxworthy. Okay. Anyway, one more question. I think I have that right, Tass, and you got this one.
A little about me. I'm an NBA sicko that craves that sweet, sweet content. I'm a Raptors fan first, an NBA fan second, a Blue Jays fanatic, and a Chicago Bears supporter. I grew up in the 519, lived downtown in the 416, and moved to the 905 burbs where I live out my days separating compost and walking my dog. Respect. In between all of that, I spent my early 20s living just outside of Melbourne, cheering on the Essendon Bombers, where I learned the hard way not to say rooting for the Bombers. My question for you, have you ever found a product, show, or media that felt like it was specifically designed for you, the way I feel every time I listen to TBJ/The Starters/ No Dunks podcast? Turn up. Look at us. Who'd have thought? Not me. That's from Adam R. Boyd. So, Leigh, what's your answer? Something that was designed for you.
Yeah, well, you guys know, when I started becoming an NBA fan, there just wasn't a lot of access in Australia. We didn't have the cable TVs and the internets back then, so we would get little scraps of information. But around 1990, all of a sudden, early on Saturday morning, like 6 o'clock on Channel 10, we would get this NBA action. It was like more than just highlights. It was news, notes, and quotes. It was the top 10 with Jim Fagan, who had that awesome voice. And it was just everything else about the NBA, more news and more information that I craved and desperately wanted to see highlights of. And it felt like no one else in my town, or even in Melbourne at the time, was watching it. It was just me. Every Saturday morning, I'd get up and watch it. And then we got inside stuff as well later on. So I was like, man, the NBA is just like feeding me personally, custom tailor, highlight packages that are just absolutely perfect. I tape every one of them, and then I watch them over and over as well. So it was awesome. I loved it. And it was so great. You learned about Ahmad Rashad and, doing some of his interviews with the guys. But yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
That is a great call. I'm with you on that one, because inside stuff, deservedly so, gets a lot of the, the attention or respect, but in an NBA show in the 90s. But NBA action was for the true sickos.
Yeah.
That really was. And we got that in Canada, I remember, as well. That was a lot of fun. Anybody else got an answer, Trey?
Yeah, over the summer, did a bunch of podcasts about cars, Fast and Furious and Formula One. So I was very happy to see Vin Diesel start showing up at Formula One races, hanging out with Lewis Hamilton. It felt like my whole summer 2021 had joined together to meet at the racetrack. What I think is happening here is that the Fast and Furious franchise is coming to an end, as we know. We just did our podcast on F9. I think they've said that Fast 10 is going to be 2 parts, which makes me think there's a Fast 11, if you really think about it. Nonetheless, it's coming to an end, and I think Vin Diesel realizes, I've been doing a movie about cars for 25 years. I should probably get the best car driver in the world in one of these at some point. So he's putting on the recruiting pitch for Lewis Hamilton. Of course, when Lewis first met Vin Diesel, his first question was, can you actually drive? Didn't hear the response, but we shall see. I hope Lewis Hamilton somehow ends up in a Fast and Furious movie. Seems like it's going to happen.
That's good. Yeah, the guns looked good there on Vin, I will say. He's flexing hard there, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's they've continued to go on, and like they've been in the gym together now working out. It's like, Lewis runs the game on the track and Vin holds it down in the gym, I suppose. So I don't know. Maybe in a year we'll see Lewis Hamilton rocking a Larry the Cable Guy sleeveless shirt out there. Oh, come on. How great would that be? Driving one-handed an F1 car, guns out. I'd love it.
Yeah, if we can't get Lewis Hamilton in F10, let's get Jeff Foxworthy. Thomas, do you have an answer for this? I don't really have anything.
Well, I guess the inception of the Toronto Raptors was perfect for me. I liked basketball. Came around just in my my formative years. I'm ready to take in another sport. I'm a dinosaur lover. Sure, why not? Also was founded by a Macedonian man, John Bitov. Macedonia is Greece. Greece is Macedonia, all that stuff. So, it was the perfect timing for me, the Toronto Raptors. Also, it also came along when, I was a big baseball head. But the baseball strike happened just as the Raptors were coming around. So it was perfect swing for me from one to the other.
Nice little opening there. Great stuff, guys. Awesome questions. Keep them coming. NoDunks@theathletic.com. Tweet them in @NoDunksInc. Drop them below this YouTube video in the comments section there. We've got basketball back tonight. It's wild. This is like our 3rd season in a year, a calendar year. But we are back into it. The Brooklyn Nets, of course, without the services of one Kyrie Irving, are going to be taking on the Milwaukee Bucks tonight to open the season, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on TNT. I think they have an hour pregame show, which is where I assume we're going to learn the first 25 names on the NBA's 75th greatest, 75th anniversary team. 25 tonight, again, 25 on Wednesday, and I think 25 more on Thursday. So I'm sure we'll be debating that on tomorrow's show. But Bucks ring ceremony, that's the first game. And then we got Warriors-Lakers as the nightcap. Leigh, are you ready to stay up late?
Yeah.
To watch these games again, or are you going to be doing the old morning watch with the second?
Well, both. Yeah, I mean, maybe not tonight, but as the season progresses there. But I believe they're releasing them in alphabetical order too.
Right.
So we can probably even guess a couple like Abdul-Jabbar. He's going to be there.
Yes.
You want to lock it in?
Yeah. Do they go Alcindor or Abdul-Jabbar? I know your father-in-law still calls him Alcindor, Trey, but
I bet they'll go Abdul-Jabbar.
Probably. Okay, so you think we're just getting the 25 first names tonight? That's how they're going to
I believe that's how they're going to be released, because they don't want it to be about this guy's ranked number 1, this guy's ranked number 2, and things like that. So, yeah.
I mean, I get it, but if you're going to do that over like the course of 3 nights, I think that would have been a little more fun, like some sort of eras a little bit, personally, but
yeah, maybe.
Whatever. We'll find out tonight. First 25 names. Again, we'll be talking about it on tomorrow's show. Just a reminder, if you didn't catch yesterday's show, Pick'em is back, and we already made our picks for this game, the Nets-Bucks game. Taz swerving, taking Brooklyn on the road. Milwaukee is favored by 1.5, so they got to win by 2 or more points for Trey, Leigh, and myself to get the first W here as we fire this up for the, I guess short month of October, unless we're going to spin that into November. We haven't decided, but we'll figure it out. Go grab your No Dunks merch over at NoDunks.com. Like I said, keep your questions coming. NoDunks at TheAthletic.com. Subscribe to No Dunks and our Survivor podcast, No Buffs, on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, basically wherever you download and listen to podcasts. You can search for No Dunks, and you can search for No Buffs if you're a Survivor fan. And if you haven't already, grab yourself a subscription to The Athletic. If you act today, you can upgrade your Pro Hoops coverage for just $2.49 a month, $2.49 a month. So go to theathletic.com/nodunks to get a athletic subscription. You will not be disappointed if you don't have one. Trust me. And that is a great deal. Enjoy the games tonight. It's going to be really fun to have real basketball back. We will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, live here on YouTube. Podcast soon to follow. Until then, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, here's an NBA sicko fact for you. We're just talking about alphabetically the players that will be listed as members of the NBA 75. Well, the first player alphabetically in NBA history is Ala Abdinalbi. Can't forget that name. It's true. Sammy Nono points it out. Abdinalbi. We're talking last names. Abdinalbi, the first name when you're going through the almanac of NBA players who have ever played. Ala Abdinalbi.
Interesting. There's been no Aaron.
Yeah.
I checked it out. No Aaron as a last name.
Right.
No Aaron. Of course, you got your Gordon. Of course, you got your McKee. You got your Williams. Package that came back for your Vince Carter.
Brooks, good call. All right. We'll see if Abdel-Nabi makes the NBA 75 list tonight before the game. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Embrace the day, people.
You could stay, ooh, every day.